Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 4, Text number 2. Tasya hava itham varshmana variyasa bruhachlokena chaujasa balena shriya yashasa वीर्य शौर्याभ्याम च पिता ऋषभा इतीदं नाम चकार. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. When the son of Maharaj Nabhi became visible, he evinced all good qualities described by the great poets, namely, a well-built body with all the symptoms of the Godhead, prowess, strength, beauty, name, fame, influence, and enthusiasm. When the father, Maharaj Nabhi, saw all these qualities, he thought his son to be the best of human beings or the supreme being. Therefore, he gave him the name Rishabha. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. To accept someone as God or an incarnation of God, one must observe the symptoms of God in his body. All the symptoms were found in the body of Maharaj Nabhi's extraordinarily powerful son. His body was well structured and he displayed all the transcendental qualities. He showed great influence and he could control his mind and senses. Consequently, he was named Rishabha, which indicates that he was the supreme living being. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. In this chapter of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, the characteristics of Rishabhadeva, who is the son of Maharaj Nabhi. We just saw in the previous chapter, Maharaj Nabhi and his wife Meru Devi had performed a very elaborate yajna, and pleased by that, Lord Vishnu had appeared, and Maharaj Nabhi's desire was to have a son who is like Vishnu. And Vishnu said, there is no one like me. So if you want a son like me, I have to appear myself. And so that son was born. And in today's verse, we are seeing some of the characteristics of that extraordinarily powerful son of Maharaj Nabhi. Tasya hava itham varshmana variyasa. Varshma means body. Varshmana means bodily features. Variyasa, they were all exalted. Variyasa, Varshmana. Exalted attributes of the bodily features. Bruhachlokena, as it is described by great poets about some of the wonderful qualities of men. So, the son of Maharaj Nabhi possessed all of them. Varshmana, Variyasa, Bruhachlokena, Ojasa, is the prowess that he had. Balena, the strength. Shriya, beauty. Yashasa, fame. Virya, Shaurya-bhyam, the influence he had, and the heroism that he displayed. And in the purport, Prabhupada has used another word, the enthusiasm that he displayed must have been a very powerful influence. So the father saw all these. Pitha Rishabha itidam nama chakara. And so the father, who saw all these wonderful attributes in his son, was thinking what to call him. And he decided to call him Rishabha, the supreme being, one who has all these wonderful. Itidam nama chakara. Pitha Rishabha iti. Idam nama chakara. He gave this name. And we see in the purport, Srila Prabhupada has also briefly described how an incarnation should be identified, not sentimentally. Just some simple followers, foolish followers, don't have any knowledge of the Shastras. Just they got some ashes. So, to accept someone as God or an incarnation of God, one must observe the symptoms of God in his body as it is described in the Shastras. It's a very serious thing, not a silly, frivolous thing. To recognize someone as an incarnation. It's done with gravity, it's done soberly, it's done with knowledge, it's done with understanding, it's done with wisdom. As we see here, Maharaj Nabi, also very qualified, and he is recognizing all these qualities in his son. So, we are reading these verses from the Srimad-Bhagavatam. So as sadhakas we may read and we may say, oh, these are the number of qualities. Ojasa, Virya, Shaurya, Tejasa, Yashasa. So we see this as a list of qualities. There is another way of reading the Shastras. Sadhakas, as sadhakas we read, trying to get some information. Oh, this is the quality, which is also essential. But there is another way of reading the Shastras. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw that when he met the Brahmana in Srirangam temple in South India. He was reading the Bhagavad Gita every day, or attempting to read the Bhagavad Gita every day, turning the pages. And people who knew he was an illiterate man, they made fun of him. Oh, Pandita, very learned man. But he was just not mindful, and he was just reading, turning the pages, trying to read. He cannot read. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took him a little more seriously than what other common people were looking at him. And so he asked him, what are you doing? And he said, my Guru ordered me that I should read Bhagavad Gita, all the 18 chapters, every day. But I'm not learned, I'm not literate. So I just turn the pages every day once. Because it is my Guru's order, I must follow. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, okay, I can understand you're turning the pages, but I see sometimes there are tears in your eyes. And he said, what can I do? When I turn the pages of the Gita, I see the picture of Krishna. Krishna has become a charioteer for his devotee. Who is Krishna, the Supreme Lord? And he is taking orders from his devotee. Go here, go there, drive here, take the chariot. When I think about that, the Supreme Lord has become a charioteer for his devotee. I just can't help tears come in my eyes. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced the Brahmana and said, your reading is perfect. Your reading of the Bhagavad Gita is the perfect reading. You have understood the real meaning of the Gita. You have understood the purport of the Gita. So this is another kind of reading. When you read, there are tears coming in your eyes. We read, oh, how many qualities. When will it get over? Over, okay, over. You see? This is another quality of reading of the Shastra. Very advanced devotees read the Shastras. When they read these qualities, oh my Lord's qualities, tears come in their eyes. There's another example among the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always made this principle. Whenever someone approached him and said, I want to learn Bhagavatam, he said, you should go and learn from a person Bhagavatam. A Bhagavata, the book Bhagavata is learnt from a person Bhagavata. A person Bhagavata who has internalized these principles, who live by these principles of the Bhagavata, who think and act according to the wisdom of the Bhagavata. They're immersed in it. So such persons, we should learn Bhagavata from such Bhagavata persons. Learn the book Bhagavata from the person Bhagavata. So, Srinivas Acharya, a young devotee, next generation after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he wanted to learn Bhagavata, and it was a direction given to him that he should go and learn from Gadadhar Pandita, one of the Panchatattva associates of Chaitanya. So he comes to Jagannath Puri and he says, Gadadhar Pandit, Prabhu, I want to learn Bhagavatam from you. And Gadadhar Pandit is very happy. Someone wants to learn Bhagavatam, he's very happy to teach. So he says, yes, come. But then he had a copy of the Bhagavatam, those days, handwritten on palm leaves or some simple methods. There were no printed books 500 years ago. And he leafed through the pages of the Bhagavatam copy that he had. Most of the pages of the Bhagavatam were actually washed out because of the teardrops coming from Gadadhar Pandit when he was reading the Bhagavatam. And so he said, look at the copy of the Bhagavad I have. Hardly anything we can read. Here and there, the blotches of tears have fallen, and as he was reading. And so he said, if you can get a fresh copy of the Bhagavatam, I'll help you. And so Srivas Acharya went, made a copy. It was not so easy. It will take, 18,000 verses. You have to get a Brahmana who has got one other copy and then make a copy of that one. So it took a few months. And he came back to Puri with the copy happily. Now I'll learn Bhagavatam from Gadadhar Pandit. Chaitanya's associate. But then when he came to Puri, he learned that Gadadhar Pandit had left the world. So he was very sorry about it and so on. But the important point is, see how these exalted devotees read Bhagavatam and what they were experiencing when they read the Bhagavatam. It was sheer ecstasy. It was not some kind of an academic, intellectual exercise, because they were so involved. And one should not think that this is sentimentalism. One should not make that mistake. Because Krishna explains in the Gita what is the state of an advanced spiritualist. Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavaha mathas sarvam pravartate. You see, this, I am the source of everything and everything comes from me. This is actually Vedanta philosophy. Vedanta philosophy is to search, seek, identify, understand the source of everything. Everything that has come from somewhere. There is a source, there is a cause, there is an ultimate cause. What is that ultimate source? That is the search in the Vedanta philosophy. And so Krishna is saying, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mathas sarvam pravartate. I am the source of everything and everything is coming from me. Iti matva. Those who have understood this, iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhavasamanvitaha. Those who know this, they are Buddha. They are enlightened people. And they are bhavasamanvitaha. Samanvitaha. Anvitaha means imbued with, endowed with, full of. There is an expression, gauravanvitaha. Full of respect. Suppose we meet somebody, very respectable person, a very exalted person. So these kinds of words, gauravanvitaha. Anvitaha means full of respect here. Here Krishna has used the word bhava samanvitaha, samanvitaha. The word sam anvitaha, samyak anvitaha. Sam is an intensifier in Sanskrit. It is to further intensify that word. Samanvitaha means heart is filled with. Filled with what? Bhava samanvitaha. Bhava means love, feelings, emotions. They are bhava samanvitaha, they are buddha. They are enlightened and their hearts are filled with loving feelings. So Prabhupada translates, they render devotional service unto me and worship me with all their hearts. So this is the meaning of bhava samanvitaha. This is the heart of a self-realized, advanced, self-realized spiritualist. His heart is filled with, he is enlightened. Not that he is foolish or sentimental, unintelligent. He is Buddha bhava samanvitaha. This is the kind of a development that happens in the case of an advanced spiritualist who understands that Krishna is the source of everything and everything is coming from him. And knowing this, what does he do? Iti matva bhajante mam. He renders devotional service unto me. Mam bhajante. He renders service unto me. This is the heart of an advanced spiritualist. Once, Srila Prabhupada it was one of his early visits to London. We saw in the poem, it was the desire of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur that Krishna consciousness should spread everywhere in the world. Because that was the desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so he desired that. And Srila Prabhupada took the words of his Guru very seriously. Just like, you see, in the common thread, you see that example of the Brahmana in Srirangam. His Guru ordered him to read the Gita every day. He took the words, the order of the spiritual master very seriously. Immense faith. This is the word of the spiritual. I must take it. I must do it. That's the kind of a conviction. That's why the Upanishad uses the word parabhakti. Yasya deva parabhakti yatha deva tata guru. One should have parabhakti to the Lord and a similar parabhakti to the Guru, Acharya. So that kind of a faith, that kind of a conviction, that we see even in Srila Prabhupada. My Guru ordered me, spread this message all over the West, in the English, among the English-speaking people. That was driving. Prabhupada says, actually Prabhupada says, when he got that instruction from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he didn't know what to do. Because in the Gaudiya Math, Prabhupada was not a monk, a devotee living in the Gaudiya Math. Because in the Gaudiya Math there were brahmacharis, there were sannyasis, they were all very erudite, scholarly brahmacharis and sannyasis were there. Prabhupada was a grihastha, he was doing business. He was having his family affairs, he was running his businesses, he was traveling different parts of India. And he got this order from his Guru. And Srila Prabhupada was thinking what to do, how I got this order. And then he says, he read the commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura on the Gita, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Ekeha Guru Nandana Shloka. And in that, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura says, how one can develop such resolute determination, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. Vyavasayatmika Buddhi means a considered, a deliberated determination. That's resolute determination. Not some sentimentally developed with consideration. Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. And how that is attained? By one. And that is the kind of a resolute determination one must have for Guru and Krishna. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura elaborates that. And one should take the order of the spiritual master as one's life and soul. One should think whether I'm going to succeed or not. It does not matter. I will follow this order. So that kind of a conviction is what Srila Prabhupada demonstrated in his Guru and in the words of the Acharyas, in the words of the scriptures. So once Prabhupada was in London, and the London ISKCON Center was very close to, it was in a very important part of the city, near Regent's Park. There was a park nearby, and many other important places landmark places were there in London. And so Prabhupada was taking a morning walk. There was not many devotees. It was very early, 69, 70s. So there was just one devotee with Srila Prabhupada. And they were taking a walk. Prabhupada was very sober and very grave, very silent. And then this devotee who was with Srila Prabhupada, he said, Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta Thakur, I read some writings of Bhaktivedanta Thakur, and I think he's my second most favorite writer. So Prabhupada said, why second? Of course, he was saying that, Prabhupada, you are my favorite writer, and Bhaktivedanta Thakur is the second favorite writer. He was saying, why second? And then Prabhupada was silent, and they were walking. Just a few seconds later, then Prabhupada continued. If I had a small fraction of the bhakti that Bhaktivedanta Thakur had, I would be a good devotee. And while he was saying that, Prabhupada was sobbing. There were tears in his eyes. And he was crying and making this statement. If I had even a fraction of the devotion that Bhaktivedanta Thakur had, I would be a good devotee. You can see how Srila Prabhupada, you bring up any of these topics about his guru, Bhaktivedanta Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his grand spiritual master, Bhaktivedanta Thakur, any of these topics, Srila Prabhupada would get very quickly moved into ecstasy. This is the heart of an advanced spiritualist. This is the heart of a pure devotee. Bhava samanvitaha. Bhava actually means ecstasy. Their hearts are filled with ecstasy. So that is the kind of a reading of the Vedic literatures. So we may read Rishabhadeva had all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But when advanced devotees read, their hearts are choked, their voice is choked, hairs stand on end, tears come in their eyes. Because they see this is the Lord's, because they are involved. I'll give one very materialistic example to understand how this is the difference. When I joined ISKCON, I was quite young. I was 21 years old, like some of you are. And there was another devotee with me. We both made up our mind from Bangalore. So I left the institute and got onto a train and went to Calcutta. We reached Calcutta 2 days before Rath Yatra. So I got an opportunity, quickly went to Mayapur, came back for Calcutta, the Rath Yatra day, the same day as Jagannath Rath Yatra. So, very crowded Rath Yatra in Calcutta, pulled the Ratha, and then it was a long distance, we were walking. By then, I had composed a letter to my parents because they were worried. I knew they will come to know that I'm not around from somewhere, from the institute or from somebody. So I wanted to keep them informed. So I wrote them probably a small postcard. I remember it was a postcard. Those days there used to be a postcard. Then I wrote that I've joined ISKCON. Please don't worry about me. And I'm not in Bangalore, and when I come to Bangalore, I come and meet you. Or something like that, few words. And then I remember I posted it into the post box during the Rath Yatra and went on. And then after about 2 months or so, I met my mother. And because I was, it was not easy. I was not too confident of meeting my parents because they would cry and I don't know what will happen to me and all that. And exactly, my mother came and met me in the temple and she was crying. And she had a bag and she pulled out this card and she showed me the card. And she's seeing the card and she is crying. So, for somebody uninvolved, you can read that, I'm joining ISKCON and I'll come and meet you. But for somebody who is involved, crying, reading that few, 2, 3 sentences. So, of course, that's a very materialistic example, just material affection or something for a son or something like that. So, but we can see how when someone is deeply Buddha, intellectually enlightened with knowledge and bhava samanvitaha, when they read the scriptures, what they feel. In fact, there is one purport in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, very interesting verse. With this we will close. Tatra kirtayatho vipra viprarsher bhuritejasaha aham chadhyagamam tatra nivishthastad anugrahat soham vaha shravayishyami yathadhitam yathamatihi. This is this is the concluding verse in that chapter in the Bhagavatam, where Suta Goswami is telling about his experience of how he learnt Bhagavatam. And he learnt Bhagavatam from whom? Shukadev Goswami. That's why he has used the word Bhuri Tejasaha. Shukadev Goswami was very powerful, spiritually very powerful personality. Son of Veda Vyasa, can you imagine? So, tatra kirtayato vipra viprarsher bhuri tejasaha. Viprarsher bhuri tejasaha. He is the Vipra Rishi, Shukadev Goswami. Bhuri tejasaha, very potent. Tatra kirtayato vipra. Suta Goswami was addressing the Brahmanas, the sages in Naimisharanya forest. Right? So he was telling them, Vipra, the Brahmanas, Tatra kirtayato vipra viprarsher bhuri tejasaha. Bhuri tejasaha, Viprarshi, Shukadev Goswami, kirtayataha. He was describing the Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. Aham chadhyagamam tatra. I learned aham adhyagam, chadhyagamam tatra. I heard this description, kirtayataha, Shukadev Goswami describing. I heard and I learned from him. There he says, how I learned, how did I hear? Nivishthastadanugrahat. Nivishtha. Nivishtha means with full attention. Nivishtha means, Prabhupada uses the word with rapt attention. Being perfectly attentive. With rapt attention, I heard and I understood the Bhagavata. Tadanugrahat, by his mercy, I heard with rapt attention, and by his mercy, I understood. Soham vaha shravayishyami. And so that very same knowledge which I heard, I will make you hear, Vipra, the sages of Naimisharanya. You have asked these questions, very important 6 questions you have asked. But these 6 questions, now I can understand. These 6 questions were the theme of the discussion, even Shukadev Goswami, when he spoke Bhagavata to Parikshit Maharaj. So I will speak that same Shravayishyami. I'll make you all hear the same thing. Yathadhitam yathamatihi. As much as I have understood and as much as I have realized, as much as I have learned, yatha adhitam, yatha matihi. As much as I have learned and as much as I have realized, I will make you all Shravayishyami. I'll make you all hear. In the purport of this, 3 times Prabhupada mentions something very significant. I'll read at least a portion of it. O learned Brahmanas, when Shukadev Goswami recited the Bhagavatam there in the presence of Emperor Parikshit, I heard him with rapt attention. And thus, by his mercy, tad anugrahat, nivishtas tad anugrahat, I learned the Bhagavatam. Aham chadhyagamam tatra. And thus, by his mercy, I learned the Bhagavatam from that great and powerful sage. Now I shall try to make you hear the very same thing as I learned it from him and as I have realized it. Yatha adhitam yatha matihi. Purport. One can certainly see directly the presence of Lord Sri Krishna in the pages of the Bhagavatam if one has heard it from a self-realized great soul like Shukadev Goswami. Prabhupada is saying one can see Krishna in the pages of the Bhagavatam. You see? Just like the Brahmana in Srirangam was seeing Krishna and Arjuna in the pages of the Bhagavad Gita. In the same way, one can, and one will see, how will one see? Intellectually in an indirect way? No. One can certainly see directly the presence of Lord Sri Krishna in the pages of the Bhagavatam if one has heard it from a self-realized great soul like Shukadev Goswami. One cannot, however, learn the Bhagavatam from a bogus hired reciter whose aim of life is to earn some money out of such recitation and employ the earning in sex indulgence. No one can learn Srimad-Bhagavatam who is associated with persons engaged in sex life. That is the secret of learning the Bhagavatam. Nor can one learn the Bhagavatam from one who interprets the text by his mundane scholarship. One has to learn the Bhagavatam from the representative of Shukadev Goswami and no one else, if one at all wants to see Lord Krishna in the pages. That is the process and there is no alternative. Sutta Goswami is a bona fide representative of Shukadev Goswami because he wants to present the very same message which he received from the great learned Brahmana, Shukadev Goswami. From the great learned Brahmana. Shukadev Goswami presented the Bhagavatam as he heard it from his great father. And so also Sutta Goswami is presenting the Bhagavatam as he heard it from Shukadev Goswami. Simply hearing is not all. One must realize the text with proper attention. Yatha adhitam yatha matihi means realization. The word nivishtha means that Sutta Goswami drank the juice of the Bhagavatam through his ears. That is the real process of receiving Bhagavatam. One should hear with rapt attention from the real person, and then he can at once realize the presence of Lord Krishna in every page. The secret of knowing the Bhagavatam is mentioned here. No one can give rapt attention who is not pure in mind. No one can be pure in mind who is not pure in action. No one can be pure in action who is not pure in eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. But somehow or other, if someone hears with rapt attention from the right person at the very beginning, one can assuredly see Lord Sri Krishna in person in the pages of the Bhagavatam. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.